Greg.
And I'm Billy.
And we're the Fuji guys. This video here today is to talk to you about the top features of our brand new XF1 camera. That's the stylish compact, real cool folding lens with the precision manual 4x zoom. This is the same sensor and processor as the X10 and XS1, so don't let this small size and beautiful styling of this camera fool you. This is a real imaging machine. So Billy, take us through the top features.
Okay. The XF1 has a unique on and off switch as well as the zoom feature. It does offer a manual zoom. There is no on and off switch on this camera. As you see here, the only way to turn on the camera is actually turn the lens. There's instructions on how to do that. You'll see that there's a little red marking right there. You rotate it to unlock it. Then you pull the lens out, and it does twist a little bit, and then it gets to what we call the standby mode. In that mode, the camera basically is off. However, it's almost ready to shoot. And when I mean it's ready to shoot, just like the X10, when you rotate that and it hits the 25mm point, which is the initial wide-angle point, the camera is ready to take pictures, and it's actually on. And then from there, you can zoom manually with the manual zoom option. I like that because, of course, you have precision to the zoom. It's quite fast. It also takes less battery power. To turn it off easily, you would actually turn it completely to the standby mode and past that, push it down, and then lock it in place. And now you can actually put it in what's called the portable mode, and you can actually put it aside. So again, you got the portable mode, lock mode, unlock it, pull it up, put it to standby. That's the standby mode, and then turn it on to the 25mm point, means the camera's ready to be turned on. And again, you do the opposite to do that. Now, if you want just to show your images to friends and family, you don't have to pull the lens out. You can just hold the playback button for a few seconds, and the camera should power on automatically without having to pull the lens off. But of course, you can't take photos, so definitely you have to pull that back out again, and you're ready to shoot. The XF1 has a new advanced filter feature that allows you to do some cool effects within the camera itself. You change the dial to the ADV or advanced mode. You push the menu OK button, and from there you can actually select the various advanced filter features. First off, this same mode stores the panoramic mode, the pro focus mode, pro low light, multi-exposure, as well as 3D shooting. What we want to do is go into the advanced filter options, where we can then select the various sort of art filter, advanced filter effects. You got toy camera, miniaturization, pop color, high key, which over-exaggerates the brightness, and dynamic tone, and even partial colors. One of my favorite features, actually. There's different options here. You have a partial color green, and if I do that right now, you can see that pen, which is in green, shows up in green only. And again, I'll just zoom in. You can kind of see that a little bit more clearly. And everything else becomes sort of black and white. If I take a photo of it, of course, it's obviously going to save it that way. But the great thing about this feature is that I see it live. I see exactly what's going to show in black and white and what's going to be in green without having to take a photo, and that's kind of cool to see. And again, if I take a look back at the image and I zoom in on that image a little bit more for you, you'll see that that the pen is green and everything else is sort of monochrome black and white. Of course, the advanced feature has all the other things, including, of course, things like the toy camera, which is my second favorite feature, and it gives it sort of a vignetting effect, sort of like an Instagram type of image. As you can see, I take that photo, there's a little bit more contrast, a little bit more saturation, and that vignetting effect to make it look very old-fashioned. And that's just a quick look at the advanced filters found on the XF1. In addition to the EXR auto mode as well as various scene shooting modes, the XF1 offers, of course, complete full manual controls both in aperture and shutter speeds. If we take a look at the dial, you have the basic PSAM dial, which P means program auto. It's basically automatic. It controls both aperture and shutter speeds, but you have access to things like white balance and other additional exposure settings that are not available in the auto mode. You then have shutter priority, which is the S mode right there. In that mode, I can use the command dial, rotate that, and as you can see, the shutter speeds adjust. And when I push halfway down, it tells me what the aperture is going to be used at based on the setting that you have the camera and the lighting situation that you have on. You can also push as well. As you can see that you rotate the dial that way. Now, you can also use the sub-command dial to do the same thing for shutter speeds. So either dial works for you. You also have aperture controls. The aperture controls, again, this camera does have true aperture blades on it. You rotate the front dial here to go from a f1.8 all the way up to an f11 aperture, as you can see. And again, you have that little dial that shows you exactly what your apertures are. And that's a new graphical display that's found on the XF1. You can also, of course, use a sub-command dial to change aperture as well. Now, if we go to the full manual control, which allows you now to both control aperture and shutter speeds, you control your apertures by using the main command dial right here. And you can adjust your shutter speeds by using the sub-command dial. Now, if you wanted to switch that, I think you can just push the button inwards on the command dial itself, and it switches from the aperture to shutter speed. So now I adjust shutter speeds here, and my apertures are adjusted down here instead. And if I want to reverse that again, I just push that button, and now I have my apertures back to normal, as you can see. And that's just a quick look at how the manual mode works on the XF1. The XF1 offers RAW and JPEG shooting in addition just to JPEG itself. To turn it on, you can go into the menu, scroll down until you see the Setup tab, and it's a second Setup tab, and you can actually turn on the RAW mode from there. Right there. And you have the choice of just shooting RAW as well as RAW and JPEG, so I'm just going to select that for you right there. I highly recommend when you take pictures with that mode that you have, one of the fastest cards possible. It uses an SD card, and an ultra high speed, class 10 card is highly recommended if you want to take a lot of RAW and JPEG pictures. In order to convert those RAW images, you can actually do that within the camera itself. And what you do is you push the menu OK button and scroll down until you see the RAW conversion option there. Let me see if that's a RAW file. Okay. And go down to RAW conversion, sorry. And then from there, you can actually change the different settings. I can increase the dynamic range. I can add a film simulation mode, maybe monochrome instead of color. I can shift the white balance to be incandescent right there. I can increase the sharpness, make it very hard. And when I'm happy with that, I push the E function button, and it processes that RAW file and creates me a JPEG image. I can choose to store it, and I can do that right there. And as you can see, I still have my RAW files, but I also have my converted file into a JPEG. And of course, if you shoot RAW and JPEGs, you also have the standard JPEG that's taking into account the current setting that you're shooting with. Now, I showed you how to switch on the RAW function to be on and off, but you can quickly access it through the function button as well. By default, the function button gives you access to the ISO controls, but if you hold the function button for a few seconds, you can actually customize that so that it could be the on and off for the RAW button. So when now I push that button, I get quick access to the RAW features. I can turn off RAW. When I need to use RAW, I can push the function button and turn back RAW on again if I wanted to. Generally, I don't, and I like to keep the function button to be my ISO controls. And if I do shoot RAW, then most likely I'm going to be shooting RAW for every other shot, and so I'm going to keep that RAW function on anyway. So that's just a quick look at the RAW feature on the XF1. Let's take a look at the focusing feature found on the XF1. Even though it's an automatic point-and-shoot camera, you do have full manual controls, and you do have controls through various focusing points on this camera. To do that, you push the E function button, which is my quick access button. I can select the focus options, and from there you have 49 different points that I can actually move on the screen. And in addition to that, I can also shrink and size up the focusing areas by using the command dial, by rotating it left, or by rotating it so it's larger again. And again, that's just a quick look at that focusing feature. You can also have manual focusing as well. You could go into the menu for that. And when you get down into the focusing mode, you can select from multi-focusing, which automatically selects the various focus for you. You got continuous autofocus. You got a tracking focusing system that allows you to track on a subject, and it follows the subject, and it helps you to not only follow where the subject's in, and it's moving towards, but also helps reduce the lag time when you actually take the photo. And then you have manual focusing as well. And to show you that, I'm going to push the manual focusing option. And as you can see, you can rotate this dial, and it automatically zooms in, size up, and I can actually rotate that, and I'm out of focus, and then bring that back into focus just like that. So again, very simple autofocus. into focus. Let's take a look at another subject right here so that you can see a little bit more obvious. As you can see, once you don't touch it, it goes back up. And when I rotate the dial, it zooms back in. See the Fujifilm logo? As I rotate that, I'm out of focus. I rotate it the opposite way, and I'm in focus right now. So that's just a quick look at the manual focus and the various focusing options found on the XF1. The E function button is a new feature found on the XF1. One of the things that it can do is actually engage the brightness display on the LCD screen. So by holding down the E function button for a few seconds, it will boost the brightness of the screen. This is great for when shooting in bright sunlight. To disable that, just hold the E function button for a few seconds and it goes away again. In addition to that, the E function button doubles up the controls of what the normal dial pad does. Now, if I didn't push the E function button, when I push these buttons here, it enables macro, it enables the flash, as you can see. Of course, I'm going to have the flash popped up in order to see the flash menu. I can enable the self-timer feature. I can also do the exposure compensation option right here, as you can see right for that. But when I push the E function button, it gives me a virtual screen, and I can actually access these extra features like the ISO, white balance, dynamic range, even continuous shooting mode by pushing up, and it actually brings it right to that mode for me. It is sort of like an additional function button. The function button is fully customizable, so if you go into the menu of the camera and you scroll down to the E function option, you'll see that you can actually set the custom options right there. And as you go there, I can actually change which buttons I want to change. So if I want that film simulation button to be something else, I push it there, and now I can select it as maybe my raw option. So now the next time I push the E function button and push the playback button, it automatically sets that raw configuration for me, which is a quick little access feature of the XF1. Let's take a look at the full HD video on the XF1. To record video with this camera, all you have to do is push the record button, and automatically instantly records in full HD with stereo sound at 30 frames per second. During the video recording, as you can see, you can actually take photos by pushing the shutter button. And basically, by doing that, you have no interruption to the video itself. I can stop the video by pushing the record button again. It doesn't matter what mode I'm in. It will instantly record video as I push that button. When I play back the video, I can push it down. First of all, you'll see the images I shot with the video, and I can just go through those. And of course, the video will show a little strip here, so I can push down and play that video. There is a built-in microphone as well as a built-in speaker, so you can hear both audio, and it records audio in, of course, stereo sound. And that's just a quick look at the HD video option on this camera. Of course, during the video as well, you can configure the HD video. You don't have to record HD video if you don't want to. You can go to the movie setup function right there, change it from full HD to even high-speed mode at 70 frames, 120 frames, or 200 frames a second. So you can kind of do slow motion video if you wanted to do that. You can also change the focusing mode so that it's constantly focusing, which is the default, or it's just focused right in the beginning, which is center focusing. And you also have still shooting priority modes, where in movie priority, you're going to record video. When you take a photo, there's no interruption to the video except for the file is 3 megapixels in size. If you want to do still image priority mode, what's going to happen is you can get an 8 megapixel file as an image when you're doing video. However, there will be a slight interruption to that video, so I just like to leave it at the movie priority. And again, that's just a little quick look at the full HD video on this camera. In order to do 360 degrees panoramic images, you would have to set the camera to the advanced dial, which is the ADV there. And of course, you push the menu OK button to go into the advanced dial options. And you have, of course, several options here. I'm going to select the 360 panoramic, which what I want to demo. And I'm going to push OK for that. Now I can configure the panoramic stitch to do a couple of things. I can do a full 360, but I don't have to. I can set it to do 120, 180, or again, a full 360. I'm just going to select it at 120 for this demonstration. Also in directions, I can go left to right, right to left, up or down by, again, changing that option as you can see on the screen. I'm just going to leave it as the default. And when you do the panoramic stitch, what you're going to do is pre-focus by pushing halfway down. And once you have the focus set, you can push all the way down and it starts taking a picture. And you want to just hold the camera as steady as possible while rotating and keeping it as level as possible. And the camera's going to automatically stitch the image. Let's take a look at that image right now. As you can see, If you want to zoom in on the image or even play it back, you can push it down, and it gives you a quick little pan. And as you can see, it does a very good job in the stitching part of it. And again, you can do a full 360 if you wanted to. Again, that's just a quick look at the panoramic mode. Let's take a look at the bracketing mode on the XF1. To access the bracketing modes, you push the E function button. You then select the continuous mode options, and from there you can scroll down. You can also access, obviously, high-speed shooting modes, but from here, as you can see, you have different bracketing modes like the auto exposure bracketing, ISO bracketing, film simulation bracketing, as well as dynamic range bracketing. I'm going to show you the film simulation bracketing because it's probably the most obvious to see. By shooting in that mode, and I'm just going to put it back to the automatic mode here. When I shoot in the film simulation bracketing mode, it's going to take 3 photos for me by the press of the button. And it's going to process the files with 3 different film simulation modes: Pro-Via, Velvia, and of course the standard film as well. And if you just take a look at that, as you can see there, you can sort of get an idea of how the image looks. And this looks a little bit more muted in color. This looks a little more saturated because of the Velvia. And this might be a little bit more softer because of the Astia film simulation mode. So that's just a quick look at the auto bracketing feature of the XF1.
Thanks, Billy. So don't forget to come back and check all of our other videos out by subscribing to our YouTube channel and following us on Twitter. Until then, I'm Greg.
And I'm Billy.
And we're the Fuji guys.